was an interesting time when I went to, I was in Denver just on September 10th, 2001, and I'm a huge Broncos fan, so it was the opening night of Denver Broncos Stadium. I went down there, and we were playing the Giants that night. And so it was a huge event for us. I even remembered everything that happened. We opened the stadium on September 10th, 2001. And so, you know, we won the Giants, which was good. I remember that was when Ed McCaffrey actually got hurt that night on a season-ending injury. And so I'm ready to leave the hotel on September 11th, early that morning, and go back to Salt Lake City. And they said, come down, look in the lobby. Something's happening here. They said there's a plane that's headed towards one of the towers in New York City. And we're just glued. Everybody in the lobby is just going, wow, this is pilot error. What's going on here? You know, it was very confusing. And we see that plane go in, and we just think, wow, you know. And then I think it was a 9/12 or something like that that second plane hit that tower. Immediately chaos in that hotel lobby. There was everybody was on cell phones. People had friends, family, everybody they knew in New York, and we just said, oh, you know, that's got to be something. That's terrorist attack or something like that. We weren't quite sure. We thought that because there'd been attack like several years earlier in the basement of that tower. We thought that this was the same guy that had come in and just kind of finished the job. And so Denver immediately turned. Now Denver does have a World Trade Center, but it's really not on the same level as the one in New York City. I mean, it's just an operating facility. It's just a business facility. So I don't think it had any kind of particular attraction towards what was happening at the time. But I go down in Denver, downtown, to see what's going on, and it really hadn't hit people. I mean, it was kind of business as usual for a while. And then that night, they had frozen all the airplanes and all the flights out. I couldn't get home. So I was stuck a little bit longer, I think at least 2 or 3 days longer in Denver, and was just glued to my TV, just wondering what was always happening, because we just didn't know exactly that that it was exactly a terrorist attack. We did have some idea, there was something going on, because we dealt with bin Laden before in separate instances, so we did suspect that it was Al Qaeda involved in that. I've since been to Ground Zero at least twice. The first time they were just barely cleaning up. I think I was there two years later up at New York City. I went up there for we actually had the National Republican Convention up in New York, and I went up for the National Convention, and got to see a little bit of Ground Zero. In fact, our headquarters was right across the street of the Marriott Hotel, and we could oversee what was going on there. We could see some of the workers and the things that were going on. Just very sad. Couldn't be very, very close to it, because they were still cleaning the place up, and it was still a recovery effort. And so what I did, and I left a little note on. I drew an American flag. They had a wall around there where people could leave different messages or whatever they wanted, about loved ones. And I drew an American flag and gave them, said whatever, and God bless America. And then I went back, I think a few years later, and I noticed they had blackened over the entire memorial wall with paint. And I felt very sad that they had taken everybody's sentiments and just basically just... But there was no way they could keep it anyway, because it was just a temporary wall, and they wanted to put that memorial up there. So, basically that's my experience with what I went through with 9/11. I really didn't have anybody I knew that was up there. But the feeling of, it changed America forever. I just, it's just unbelievable with the amount of patriotism we saw. Flags in every window. And, merited for that short period of time. I just wish that it could just stay that way. Somebody said that they haven't seen that kind of unity in the country since Pearl Harbor in 1941. When we were brought together and that kind of thing. And anyway, God bless America. It was a great. I can't say it's a great experience. It was a experience I'll always remember. And that's kind of my story as far as where I was.